Hey guys, welcome to another week of WoW Weekly with Myst. And for this week, we have Dark Moon Fair is in effect until February 12th. Love is in the Air starts as of today, so you can start farming that god-awful Love Rocket, which now has been changed to the X45 Heartbreaker, but to me will just always be the Love Rocket because that was the name for so many years. For me, anyway, if you're gonna change a name, the name's gotta only exist for a few years. Like, it's way too late for me to be naming it something else or calling it something else. But that is available. Super rare mount. Most people consider it to be the most rare mount in the game. Mainly because, I wouldn't say necessarily because of the drop rate, because it has a drop rate like many others, but you only got like 2 weeks to farm it. So that's really what makes it rare, is that you have 2 weeks every year to farm this mount. So definitely one to pay attention to if you're a mount collector or starting to be. And that will last till February 21st. So you got lots of time with that one. Lunar Festival is still going on, and that will end on February 13th. For the US servers, we do have the Garrison pet leveling today. Obviously, it's not pet week, so it's not the big power level. But like I've said many times before, it doesn't have to be. If you're wearing your pet leveling hat, and even if you aren't, it's still pretty good leveling. I would definitely take advantage of this. So you need a level 3 garrison. If you don't have a level 3 garrison, hit me up. I do, and usually if someone doesn't have the ability to do this leveling in their own garrison, I'll just open up a party and let people use mine. Time walking is this week, so that is the weekly for this week, and it's going to be Kata. One thing I will say, and this is kind of an upcoming video that I've been meaning to do, I'll try to get it on the channel this week. But if you're Night Fae, definitely at least go in and try out some dungeons, because one thing I have found out is that there is a soul shape for every single version of time walking. I got one for the last one, which was Lich King. There's going to be another one for Kata, and yeah, you're going to want to do all these until you get all your soul shapes. There is also the Mount Infinite Time Raver, which makes this week really busy mount-wise for me. So, because I'll be farming the Time Raver, and I'll also be farming the Love Rocket. So, yeah, it's going to be a busy week for me, mount-wise. And then the final event is the PvP Brawl, and that is going to be the Shadowpawn Showdown. And that is this week's events. So all in all, I'd say it's a busy week, because love is in the air. If you got lots of alts, you're going to spend at least a couple of hours a day doing that. And then even longer if you are farming the Infinite Time Raver, or you want some soul shapes. Soul shapes are really easy. The last time walking, I got it off like the first run. So like, yeah, you're not going to be, if that's all you care about, you're not going to be doing too many time walkings. But it's a good one to do. It's also a good one for a mount collector to kind of just collect, because Kata never had a mount. So you can just kind of collect your currency. And yeah, so that is the week. Let's get to news. Okay, so I guess we'll start with the hot topics this week. It's been a pretty good news week, honestly. So we'll start with the boosting communities now being prohibited in World of Warcraft. So basically what this means is this is outside type communities. So it doesn't really prohibit boosting in game, and like guilds can still sell their carries. It's only really prohibiting the actual boosted communities. Gallowix was one. They got banned last year. And then the one that kind of shut services down as soon as this announcement came out was that Huakin or whatever. I could never pronounce their name right. But they kind of took over when Gallowix, got shut down. They were kind of like the next boosting community that people went to. All that has kind of been shut down. They're at risk of losing their accounts if they're found to be doing business. I see this as a good thing. Boosting has definitely ruined the game. Of course, there's other things that Blizzard does allow that I also believe ruins the game even more than boosting. Definitely a start to doing better. I do for sure believe that a new player coming into the game, looking at trade chat and seeing, selling carry, selling Mythic Plus, selling this, selling that, will discourage a new player from playing the game. They're not going to want to come into a game that is pretty much staring them in the face saying, hey, pay to win. That is just a bad look for a new player. So I do believe this is a good change for the boosted stuff. I just, when it's only half-assed, it's, that's the part that gets me, is that they're boosting the outside communities. But the only real rule that they've kind of set in place is that if you're gonna boost, you gotta be one of the people doing the run. Like if you're gonna sell a Mythic Plus, you must be in that Mythic Plus with them. For starters, how would you know? Right? How would you know that they're doing that? Right? Unless you're tracking every single movement from every person that types at any time selling, like the word selling. And the second thing is you're still allowing it. So what, they gotta be in it? That's an easy price to pay to be still making some gold. There is also the topic of the token. And the token, I have always said the token took a huge place in starting this horrible system. Right? Because with the token, you can easily afford whatever boost you want, right? Assuming you have money, I guess. But, if you're a working individual or bring in money, whatever way it happens to be, you can afford a token and you can just pay for a boost. Which, if the token didn't exist, then maybe less people would be able to do that. But then I'm kind of like, this is where I'm in the middle of it, because I like to occasionally buy a token just to have a little extra gold lying around on my characters. I spend a lot of gold in the game, especially with the black market. So once in a while, I like to just use a token just to, because I hate gold farming. And I'll accidentally gold farm. Like I'll gold farm, I don't know, maybe 200,000 or 300,000. But I don't like to be gold farming millions and millions of gold. So, that's just a very slow to me, and it takes away from me actually playing the game. I don't consider gold farming like playing the game, right? Because you're just doing the same shit over and over. But those are my thoughts on it. I think it's a great change. I think it would have been better if they had removed it entirely, not allowing anyone anywhere to be boosting. But whatever, you take what you get. I'm not really that surprised that they did something about it, because it's real money, right? That's why they're allowing it in game. It doesn't take a genius to see why they're allowing it in game and not outside. Outside a game, the people are making real cash. cash they can spend at, say, the grocery store. In-game, people are buying tokens to do the boost. So Blizzard is benefiting off boosts in-game and not out-game. So it took me all of maybe a second, to realize why they're not doing anything about that one. But nonetheless, that is the deal with the boosting communities. So that should help things a little bit. And just before we end this topic, I would just like to say this is the outcome of the WoW economy, honestly. Because, well, for example, my legendary, I never upgraded it till late into the expansion because it was super pricey on the auction house. And that wouldn't be the first time something was super pricey on the auction house, right? And I fully believe, especially with maybe some world first guilds and stuff like that, that these types of boostings have been almost mandatory for some of them to afford what they need in order to do their world first runs. It's just another reason why we need like a fucking redo on stuff, right? If there was a redo on stuff, you could take out everything that's kind of destroying the game without really affecting anyone because it would be a brand new game anyway. But I just thought I'd add that in, that it's sometimes a touchy subject because it's easy as a person like myself to just kind of sit on the outside and be like, boosters suck, But on another hand, because of how the economy is in WoW, a lot of those people probably felt like they had to. They had to boost in order to do their world first or to buy their legendary. Like I waited months on mine because my legendary originally was like 1 million gold. I'm not spending 1 million gold on a piece of gear that's going to be useless next expansion. You know what I mean? I have it now, but it took the game pretty much dying for the prices to drop. And of course, since I play the game no matter what, I saw those prices drop and then I picked it up for really cheap. But, when everyone was playing the game, that sucker was like 1 million gold. So, I think that is a part of the problem right there. In my opinion, that's why a lot of the guilds sell so many runs of stuff, is to afford stuff like that. A lot of the world firsts require that everyone has alts for backups in case needed for the raid. So you're not just needing money for one character, you're needing money for multiples, right? So, I think that definitely is part of the problem. Okay, so the next big piece of news was cross factions. So this is a pretty big one. I would say this was probably bigger than the boosting announcement, just because a lot of people have wanted this. And I'm kind of like yay and nay at the same time with this one. And I'll explain my opinion here in a sec. So let's just go over the basics. So cross-faction is going to be for dungeons, raids, and PvP. This will not be available till 9.2.5, which pretty much was a straight indicator of how long we're waiting for the next expansion. I personally was kind of expecting that they were just skipping that patch, right? Like, I was totally just thinking that was going to be like, never existed, just skip it right to 10.0, so this really, really shows us how much longer we're stuck in Shadowlands. But nonetheless, so we'll be waiting a bit for this. This one, they could easily announce with the expansion. yeah, they were being smart by not releasing it with the next expansion, because the next expansion itself is going to have hype. They've probably got other things that will be new for them to announce, and they're going to have enough hype, and they're going to get a good amount of money. So I think the reason they didn't release it with the next expansion, the news, is because, well, one, I think they want to kind of see how the community's reacting to it. And two, and this should be number one, because this is like the first thing that came to my mind, and it's probably the one that matters, and it's that they can make more money off of it. Because think of it as, I don't know, say you're a gamer, but you struggle financially, right? So think of it this way. If they announced it with the new expansion, then not only do you have the cost of an expansion, plus there's always the collector stuff that'll rack up the cost a little more, you would also have, the possibility of wanting to move characters, right? And I don't think they're going to give us free moves here. Like, they're going to cash in on this shit. This was smart timing that Blizzard did, because what they're doing now is, instead of having to have a whack load of money to spend on the game all in one shot down the road when the new expansion comes out, they're dividing it, right? So they're going to release this in 9.2.5. At that time, you would spend the money to transfer probably your many characters, or at least one, and then they will get more of your money down the road when they release the expansion. I think this is a super smart move. This is gonna ensure you get money no matter what, and probably from both aspects. It is such a higher chance that you get money out of most people for both when you separate it like this. It's just easier, right? Most people will have the money to move a character if they're not worrying about the cost of an expansion quite yet. They will in turn get more money than they would have if they released that with the expansion. Yeah. Because not everyone can afford to put a shit ton of money into a game. And with these, like, if it had been announced at that time, you would be paying well over $100 easily. I as a Canadian, pay almost $100 just for the collectors when the game comes out. So on top of that, if I wanted to move like a Horde to Alliance, I'd probably be looking more like, close to 200 if I'm doing a few. Luckily for me, I won't be taking advantage of that, because I never made Horde characters for specific reasons, right? I just made them because I'd leveled every class and every race on Alliance, and I'm like, well, what do I do now? I guess we make a Horde character and start leveling over there, right? My Horde characters are such alts that, like, they can just stay Horde. They could stay over there. Most were made for achievements anyway. It really doesn't affect me anyway. The only money they're getting out of me is when they drop that fucking new expansion. So yeah, but I do believe they were being smart on dividing it, because the average player can't afford to put that much money into that, nor would they want to, right? It's a lot of money. In one shot anyway. Like, the average player is gonna buy the expansion and move characters if they want, but they just wouldn't do it everything in one shot, right? It's easier divided up. There's been one person coming in my stream that's like always, death to the Horde, and they're right. It will be a death to the Horde. No one truly wanted to play Horde. They just fucking went over there because their friends were over there, right? Like, this is truly death to the Horde. It is gonna put a lot of people back in Alliance. So for some of the major details, things to know for this is not for every dungeon, every raid, every PvP. This is very specific. So basically how this works is you kind of already have to know them, right? They have to be on your friend list, and you are, in a pre-made or something of dungeons, raids, and the PvP is just arena. So once I knew that factor, I felt a little better, because I will admit, I was like pretty much the only person that was in disagreement with this. And yeah, the whole community loves the idea of cross-faction because arena has been tough to group up with and stuff. I like the faction thing because, well, it's always been Alliance versus Horde. Yeah, we've helped each other in some PvE content, but, Battleground should just always be Alliance versus Horde. I've never, I don't know, like, I feel weird, being teamed up with, like, a Tauren or something, I personally don't want nothing, like, I don't want anything to do with this cross-faction. So I am glad it is set up the way it is, because it doesn't affect what I do, right? It doesn't affect, like, all my friends that I play, their Alliance. I never fell into the trap of having to main Horde because that's the only way I can raid. I made sure I could get raids done on my Alliance character. I made sure I could do PvP on my Alliance character. I've got, my group for arenas, and I've got, I just do everything on my Night Elf Druid. When things had kind of gone that way, which was in early WoW days, it's been a thing for a while when people, made the swap to Horde. I just didn't like it, and especially as a Druid main, there was no way I was going to Horde as a Druid main. Like, the Druids suck over there. They have the worst fucking races for the Druids over there. So there was absolutely no way I was ever gonna main Horde. So it just never directly impacted me, and this change still doesn't, because all my friends are Alliance. So, like, I've never really had that moment where I'm like, oh, it's too bad I can't play with you because you're Horde. Like, don't get me wrong, there's some people that'll come into stream and, they're Horde or whatever, but, like, direct friends of mine, they're all Alliance. So that's basically how it works. It is cross-faction, but you have to have them on your list. So they have to be from your battle tag, or you gotta be part of a cross-faction WoW community. And so that is how that is going to work. The leader of the group can restrict it to keep it, like, same faction. I'm not against it. I do think that it is a good thing because, people have been bitching, and you should, cater to your community at least a little bit. And make them happy enough to want to continue playing, especially for people struggling with arenas and stuff like that. But for me, it just doesn't affect me, because I would never team up with a Horde. Like, I spit on the Horde, like, I am an old school player, and that is just how I am. I kill the Horde. I don't play along with them, So yeah. But I think as a main Alliance player, I'm all for this. I think this will be quite different for for the Alliance. It's going to bring people back, because the thing is, a lot of people only are Horde because their friends went Horde, right? Now they don't have to. They can group up with their friends if they wanted to, which means they could be Alliance if that was the faction that they had always wanted to be anyway, Personally, I'd never understood why you would just, go years playing a faction that you didn't like. I've never understood that logic, but I know a lot of people did go that way. And I guess I'm just glad I never went that way. I'm glad I, just continued to enjoy the game as an Alliance. And if anything, I enjoyed it a little more because there was a little challenge to it being an Alliance player. So, these past years have been some of my most proud years of accomplishments I've done because I know how hard it is to team up and do raids and stuff with being Alliance, or to at least get far into raids. It's been a bit of a mission for sure. So I know where they're coming from. I'm just a different kind of player. And yeah. So yeah, moral of that story, I know that was a little bit of a ramble, but moral of the story is it's good for the community, so I think it's weird, to have, Alliance and Horde in the same group. But it's not going to affect me, so I don't care. The only thing I hope is that it doesn't come to the other stuff. Where it will affect me is if, people are really enjoying it and Blizzard decides that they're going to do it across the board. I can make sure I'm not teamed up with a Horde, but then, if they're just going to throw it in, say, random queues or something, I don't know, say you're doing time walking, queuing up for time walking, or if you're in a regular battleground, shit like that. I do think it will be a great thing for guilds that are lacking players for their raids and stuff like that. One thing that I was kind of interested in was that they didn't make a cross-faction guilds thing. So a lot of people are going to probably have 2 guilds now. I've had actually 2 guilds with the same name on Alliance and Horde for a lot of years, actually. Probably at least 10 years. But not for those reasons, obviously, the Horde Guild's a bunch of alts that, I think all of us play maybe once a year, if that. No one logs on them. And then, of course, my main guild. If I was going to be that type of player, I'm already set up. I already have those 2 guilds with the same name. Overall, I think this is a great change for those that want it. I know there are many people that have wanted this, and I think it is a great change. It's just sad to see that this is what had to happen to kind of save the game a bit. Now, is it a true save? I don't know. I don't know if this would really impact, a save. And the game isn't really dead or anything. It's just dead to certain people. There's always going to be lots of players. But overall, I think for those people that want it, it is a good change. I'm sure eventually we will get the one thing I don't want, and that's for it to be across the board. I'm sure, with this many people, the whole reason we have this is because this many people wanted it, right? So you just complain about the same thing, and we will eventually have it across the board. Now, just for those that might be curious, if you've been raiding for a while in the game, there are some kind of faction-specific raids. The more common one that people would think of would be Battle of Dazar'alor, but there are others. Battle of Dazar'alor, Trial of Crusader, and Ice Crown are 3 of the interesting factors for a cross-faction type of raid. So for now, they're not allowing that to be cross-faction, so you won't be able to enter those 3 with a group, with the opposite faction, for obvious reasons. So those ones will definitely have to be reworked, which is kind of why I don't like stuff like this, because then they change some of the things I love just to accommodate something in the game. Personally, although a part of me would feel weird, but I almost would have preferred they just removed the factions. I'd feel weird not being an alliance, But overall, I guess I just feel like things might have just worked a little better if they just removed the factions. I've personally never played an MMO that didn't have factions, so I guess that would be weird for me too. But if I had to choose one or the other, I think I would have sided with the no faction rather than teaming up with the Horde, Yeah. But all in all, I just think it's super late in the game to be making serious decisions like this, I think at this point you just make a new game. I could literally go on forever, and I kind of already have on this topic, because there's just so many weird things with the cross-faction that go through my head when thinking about this change. And yeah. And a part of me wonders, will this maybe increase the people that go to Classic, because while I get it, I am definitely, I don't do change well, right? So that's half my problem right here, is that I hate change. I don't do change well. But the thing is, can you, honestly, can you blame me? It's 17 years of a game that you get used to, and then all of a sudden we're partied up with the faction we've been literally killing and spitting on for the past 17 years, Yes, technically there has been moments where Alliance and Horde work together, but those were temporary, they were, it wasn't your player really forever working together. I guess my biggest thing is I'm glad there's a choice, and I would hope that maybe if they do this across the board eventually, where it is in, queues and stuff, that maybe there's an option there where you can opt out of being partied with the opposite faction. Because while I'll accept the changes because most of the community wanted it, and whatever, let them have what will keep them playing their arenas and shit, but at the same time, I don't think you should be forced into it either. And just to clarify, you are not forced into it. I'm not saying that you are right now. You are fully in control. You can choose to do arena or raid or dungeons with the opposite faction, or you can choose to not. However, if you're going to choose to not, you need to be leader of that group, because it's the leader that actually chooses that. But what I am saying is that if they did do it across the board one day, there's a huge possibility that there is no choice there. And that's where I'd like to see maybe a drop-down menu saying, I would like to team with only my faction, or I would like to team with either faction. And if they had that drop-down menu, then I would accept that one as well. As long as I have choices and I'm not forced into something, I'm okay with some of these changes, but doesn't mean they're not weird at the end of the day. It'll always be weird to me. But yeah, those are my thoughts anyway. Overall, it's great. I just want nothing to do with it. It's really a whole different thing when all your friends that play the game with you are alliance. You have no need for that kind of stuff, right? So it's never been something I felt I needed. And I got used to the many, many, many years of alliance just being tougher to do things on. And I got used to that and I adapted to it. As a player who's been playing for a long time, it's just sad that it had to come to this, you know, in order to improve the population. And in a sense, we're not even improving it because all we're doing is putting it the opposite way. Because I guarantee you now Horde is going to be the low pop side. And then there's also the fact that things are going to be easier because if you are teamed up with Horde, there's a clear reason why people went Horde. It's because you can get stuff done a little better. You know, sure, some people followed their friends there, but why'd their friends go there to begin with, right? It's because you could do things easier. And population wasn't the only reason for that. And, you know, some of it had to do with their racials and stuff like that. So I do believe this does make the game even that much easier, which I, as a player, have always disliked. You know, I've always disliked the game getting easier and easier and easier. Okay, so that's enough talk on that one. Let's move on to the next bit of news here. Okay, so for the next hot topic, mobile Warcraft game. We got news that there will be a mobile Warcraft game planned for 2022. I think there's a couple of things that people failed to read here because a lot of people like instantly think pet battles, right? And there's two things to really read here. In this line, our keywords here is Warcraft and planned. Those are the two words that like stared me in the face, you know. So planned means that chances are we probably won't have it in 2022. Might be more like 2024. It's just planned. And we know how their planning goes. So, you know, D4 was planned a long time ago too. It says Blizzard is planning substantial new content for the Warcraft franchise in 2022, including new experiences in World of Warcraft and Hearthstone, and getting all new mobile Warcraft content into players' hands for the first time. I think the interesting part here is the new experiences. I don't know. I've always been up and down with the Pet Battle Mobile because I like my add-ons when it comes to the Pet Battles. I wouldn't want to really Pet Battle on a phone, and if I did, I guess I would just want to capture things, you know, things that are like, I know I'll fucking win the battle, you know, like, yeah. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time putting together teams on a fucking phone. And yeah, I hate my phone as it is. It sits dead most of the time. I, again, crap all the time from friends and stuff for not charging my phone and missing taxes and, you know, shit like that. I'm just not a mobile gamer. You know, for starters, I hate the phone, and then second of all, I can't look at a small screen for a very long time. There actually was one mobile game that I enjoyed quite a bit, actually. I don't play it anymore, but because I enjoyed that, I had invested into an Android tablet, and I used to play it over there. But still, at the end of the day, I prefer to just be on a PC. Mobile games is good for when you're like away from the house or if you truly like mobile games. I know they make a lot of money, and yeah. But for me, I just, I can't sit and look at that small, tiny screen for too terribly long. Movement wise, I need to either be keyboard, mouse, or controller. The pet battles would be a cool thing, and I do think they should put it out. It is something that the pet battle community does want, so why not bring it out? But I always just kind of imagined it would be added to the companion app, you know? I just kind of imagine it would be like this real simple game, and you would hope it would be, because if it's its own game, then you're gonna be paying some fucking moolah, because they're not gonna bring out a game that doesn't make money. But I think this is a whole new game. I don't think this announcement is for pet battles. I think this is a whole new game, having to do with maybe before WoW, because it says a Warcraft franchise, right? So maybe it's kind of like a going back type deal, or they do say new experiences, so it could be. I don't know. It could be. I don't know quite what it is, obviously. Like, I'm just guessing. But if I had to do a 100% guess, like, what do I really think? It is a Warcraft game. Like, it is a new Warcraft game. And no, that doesn't mean it's WoW on mobile. I don't think it's WoW at all, honestly. So this sentence is actually a pretty big sentence if you look at it, because it says new content for Warcraft franchise, including new experiences in WoW and Hearthstone, and getting all new mobile Warcraft content. So they're almost talking about 4 things there. I feel like the mobile news is that last sentence. The including new experiences in WoW and Hearthstone are probably the new expansion for WoW, and then, maybe some new characters for Hearthstone, or maybe there's another new expansion soon. And then we're talking about the mobile game at the end there. And yeah. Now, with that said, I do think at some point we are getting the pet mobile game. I just don't think that's what this announcement is. This is more Warcraft, not World of Warcraft, just Warcraft. And I think that would be cool. Have a new thing. I'm really not a mobile player, so like I don't know if this would ever get played by me. So with that said, I'm hoping that has nothing to do with World of Warcraft, because I know how Blizzard is. They will force you to play every product to like keep your collection on the computer going. So it's one big reason why I never really wanted pet battles, because I don't want to have to play a mobile game to keep up with my collection in WoW. So it's one thing I do hope that, when that day comes that they do make a pet battle mobile game, that it's just a putz around mobile game. Like nothing happens. I'm really hoping it just like, it has nothing to do with your progression in the game. And, make it its own little thing if need be. And then, yeah. That's what I would like anyway. Or add it to the companion app. If it's on the companion app, then whatever. But me personally, I wouldn't take advantage of it anyway, because I like my add-ons too much. So yeah, I've got all my teams set up, and yeah, I'd have to start from scratch if it was on mobile and see it on a tiny screen. And yeah, I'd prefer to just have it on the PC. Okay, so for some game stuff. So for 9.2, we got some news on the new Vicious PvP mount. This is it here. Probably looks pretty damn familiar. It's not the first time we've seen a toad mount. So this is going to be the PvP Shadowlands Season 3 mount. So we also found out that we will have account-wide Soul Cinders in 9.2. So you'll be able to transfer them just like you do with the Soul Ash. And they will be called the packaged Soul Cinders. When I say they're similar to the Soul Ash, I really do mean that. And that's the downfall. It would have been nicer if they were similar to the Anima transfer. So what that basically means is you're going to lose 50 on transfer. So you'll have your alt obtain 250 Soul Cinders, but it is going to cost you 300 to do that. So you do lose a bit. This is why I like that Anima one, because you get like all of it. So what you spend to transfer is what your character gets. So that one's nice. But yeah, so that's the deal for this one. So also on this vendor, you'll be able to buy the Chronicle of Lost Memories as well from him. It'll cost you 600 Soul Cinders. And this is actually an item that's already in the game. You can buy it. I believe it's with Anima right now that you can buy it. You can also get it from your cataloged research in Korthia, and you can also get it with Grateful Offerings. So there are a few different ways you can already get this item. But this is yet another way if you wanted to get rid of some of your Soul Cinders. So 600 Soul Cinders, and the item itself is used to gain legendary powers for your character that you haven't obtained yet. And the vendor for this is Bonesmith Hirmir. He is the guy out in Korthia, and you can get all this from him in 9.2. Okay, another thing we also learned this week was that the World Quest rep has been nerfed for the Enlightened, which is out in Zereth Mortis. So that is a little unfortunate. They were giving 225 rep off the World Quest. They are now giving 100 rep. So obviously Blizzard thought we were getting too much rep in the PTR. Rares are going to be given rep. It's a pretty tiny amount, though. Basically, there's 29 rares. And if you were to kill all 29 of them in one sitting, like one day, you would get 495 reps. So, yeah, that's, you know, you're averaging between 15 to 30 rep a boss. Yeah, it's not a whole lot. I guess it's better than nothing, but I can't say that, like, excites me to be going out killing rares. It's a pretty tiny amount of rep. So now, how much rep can you earn in a day? Okay, so this is your weekly quest. It's got quite a bit of stuff on it. And yeah, you basically complete it by doing world quests, daily quests, looting treasures, and, killing rares and stuff like that. This will be given to you out in Haven. Bolvar is who gives you this quest. The rewards are Tribute of the Enlightened Elders, which can contain gear and stuff in it. The Anima Matrix is your Anima. So that's 250 Anima. And then we see a stack of 46 and a stack of 52 for Ciphers of the First Ones. This is a very common currency you're going to need to use at your Cipher console. So yeah, Ciphers of the First Ones is one of your major grinds in Korthia. These will be a good catch-up system as well, because the gear that you get is a 233. And if you aren't Renown 80, you will also get a Renown upon completion of this. And it does state you'll get some gold too, so you get around 880 gold. Okay, so these numbers that I'm going to give you are in assumption that you have done the weekly. So it will be slightly lower if you have not completed this weekly quest that I just showed you. So killing all your 29 rares in a day will get you 795 rep per day. With that being the system you're going with, it would take you 26 days to reach Revered with the Enlightened. If you kill 20 rares that grant 15 rep, you'll earn around 600 per day. And that would take you 31 days to reach Revered. And then if you choose to ignore all rares and just complete world quests, this is gonna so be me, because like I'll like kill a rare if I'm passing by it, but like no way am I focusing 29 rares every single day. Like nuh-uh, that is not fun. But anyway, if you choose to ignore all rares and just complete world quests, you will only earn 300 rep per day, and it will take you 53 days to reach Revered with the Enlightened. The way I see it is whatever. We'll still be in Shadowlands 53 days later. You know, I got nothing to lose here. So basically how I plan on doing this is my main focus is going to be the world quests. And I will kill the rares as I see them. There's of course going to be an achievement out to kill every rare. They always do that. So of course I'm going to want to kill every rare at least once. But I've been out in Zereth Mortis. It's going to dry up the way Korthia dried up. I don't want to burn myself out killing 29 rares every single day. So I will do at least what's needed to knock out the achievement for the rares that most likely will exist. And then from there on, I'm just going to do the world quest and whatever rares happen to be along my pathway. You know, but I won't go out my way to just kill the rares. So now, why would you want to kill all those 29 rares? I will tell you. So the reason this rep is important is because of the memory of unity. So you need to be revered for that, which is why they're telling us the time frames of getting to revered. The memory of unity allows you to craft Covenant legendaries in all slots. So without this item, your only option to have like 2 legendaries is the belt. So this is an idea of the belt right here. It'll be similar for every class. It will always be something of unity for every class. And as far as the belt goes, all you gotta do is complete chapter 7 of the 9.2 campaign. So you wouldn't be able to get this belt till week 5. So that is kind of around the time when you would be on chapter 7. The belts don't have a reputation requirement, so you can just use it as soon as you have it. But they are stuck at a 265 item level, so you won't be able to get them any higher. So that is basically why you'd want to do it. So you can get your second legendary for whatever legendary you would want, because trust me, the belt isn't going to be anything people will stick with. Unless you're casual and you don't plan on, raiding and stuff like that. But the belt, items like that come out of the campaign, they're like a placeholder, they're there until you get better. And no one's going to be running around with their belts for too terribly long. So your goal is going to be to want to get that revered so you can craft the second legendary of your choice. Okay, so the last bit of news I have is for you classic players. So I am going to show you guys a list for NA and also EU. There's been some free character transfers available. So depending on what server you are and where you want to go, maybe you can, cash in on a free character transfer. This one here is the NA list and all the destination realms that are available from the realm you would be transferring from. And right here is the list for the EU servers. So yeah, definitely go check. And if you're interested in doing a transfer, you may be able to get that all done up for free. And just for those that maybe this is the first time trying this, little extra info. So before your transfer, your character's mailbox and auction needs to be completely cleared. If you see an error message about pending mail on the character after you've cleared it, you may have inbound mail that hasn't arrived yet. So wait until that mail arrives, clear your mailbox, and then try again. Also, save all your macros prior to your transfer. The user interface will reset when you transfer. And the last thing is that if your character shares a name with an existing character on the realm, you must rename your character. And yeah, so that is what you need to know before doing the transfer. During and after the transfer, if your character is a guild leader, you must transfer leadership to another member or disband the guild. Hopefully disbanding the guild actually works, because I tried that. I was in a guild by myself a while back, and it was just like a character where I kept my alts, and yeah, I couldn't even disband it. Yeah, the system would not let me. Granted, that was years into retail, so I think I tried that like back in WoD or something. So yeah. Do not attempt to send your character mail during a free character transfer. Why anyone would do that, I don't know. Any items or character progress lost during the transfer will not be restored, and your character's name is going to be locked for 30 days. And for limitations, it says any mail left in your mailbox prior to the transfer will be lost. Your guild affiliation and tab will not transfer. You must join a new one. Duh. We all know that. Your rank will transfer with your character, but any kills you earned on your source realm between the weekly reset and time your transfer comes into effect, and any honor from those kills will not transfer with you. Your WoW friend list and ignore list will be cleared upon transfer. And once the transfer has completed, you cannot reserve it. The only way to move character again is by purchasing a character transfer. So, big thing here is make sure that that is indeed the character you want to transfer, because it definitely sounds like you're only getting one shot at it. And also, parental control settings can block character transfers. You know, till this day, I've never even seen those settings. I was in college when I started playing this game. So, yeah, I never started as a kid, so no one was ever running my account or, you know, any of that stuff. So, yeah, I have till this date, and I don't even know where that setting is. Like, I have just never seen it. To be perfectly honest, I'm not even sure if it was a setting in vanilla. I don't know. So I hope that helps you guys. That maybe add some questions regarding the steps during your transfer and all that. Okay, so what have I been doing this past week? I have been playing a lot of WoW, like usual, and I did loot the Pale Acid Maw this past week. I got it out of my Queen Conservatory cache, but it is actually one of the mounts that you can get at every one of them. Those are the mounts I'm kind of down to as far as those, rank 5 buildings go, because I've gotten all the Night Fae specific ones out of the garden. So that was really nice. It's always nice when you get one, because it feels like forever that you're like planting seeds in the garden waiting for it. And yeah, if I just keep knocking them out, then that's mounts I don't need out of those other buildings, and I could just go after the toys or transmogs or whatever are part of that. I think we're down to the last 2 mounts. Doing good. I'm I want to say I'm almost done with the garden, but no transmogs. Well, no new transmogs have been dropping lately, so I think we'll still be doing the garden for transmogs, but at least the mounts may be out of the way by then. Another thing, as some people that watch my streams may know, I've been really on the Mechagon farm lately for quite a while now. So I've been out there every day doing stuff, trying to get everything. A couple of weeks ago, I had finally knocked out all the blueprints, so I had gotten that. And this week, I did some heavy-duty progression. I am so impressed with my progression this past week for Mechagon. So the toy on the alternate side, that's been a farm for me for a while, and I got it. So we don't need to craft those other side items because I don't need to go there anymore. So that's nice. And the cool part is I was on like my last item to use to go to the other side. So yeah, it's nice when you use them all up. So I got that. That is the Judgment of Mechagon. And then the major accomplishment this week was the Junkyard Melomaniac. This is to get all the vinyls. And they were a mission getting all the vinyls. So yeah, I am so happy to be done with that. I have really limited the farm now. The only thing I need is I'm still completing projects, so I'm 65 over 100 for completing Mechagon projects. So definitely we got a spare parts farm in our future because I'm using a lot to complete projects. And then the second one, which is going to be the death of me probably, is the Oxidized Leech Beast. I have been farming him since BFA for the lemonade paint. This one's actually my most hated one because I've actually had all of them except for the lemonade one since BFA. Well, I got them in pretty good timing, but the drop on the Oxidized Leech Beast has just been horrible. Yeah. So, yeah, that one's gonna be a bitch. I'm not believing Wowhead when they say that paint is 14% drop chance, and I imagine no one else that farmed this believes that either. That's what it says on the site, but I have killed him a lot of times, and yeah, I just gotta say there's no way he's a 14%. But he does suck because Oxidized Leech Beast is it's like RNG with RNG and then added more RNG. Because to get him, you go into that little area that's like between Rustfeather and Spider Boss. You go in there and it needs to be raining. You can make it rain. You kill mobs, you get an item that you can use to make it rain, but you need the weather machine to be up, right? And it only stays up for a certain bit, so you have to have the item within the time the weather machine's up, and then you use the item. So there's the first part of RNG right there, and you use the item, and then you kill all the little yellow leech beasts that are on the ground, and that can spawn the leech beast. And then that's the second part of RNG because it's not guaranteed that he's gonna spawn through that. You gotta just kill as much as you can while it's raining and just hope he spawns. And so that's RNG number 2. And then of course RNG number 3 is your item that, hopefully you loot. So yeah, it's just too much RNG with him. One thing I will say is at least they upped it a little bit. So now basically what happens is, they actually reduced the rain. So the duration of the rain is actually reduced. But the drop rate of the coil that you use to make it rain is increased, and the spawn rate of the little leech beasts that you kill to try to spawn the boss has been increased hugely. They pretty much like instantly respawn, and so that, you know, creates a more likely spawn of the oxidized leech beast. So at least they did that. I remember when I was doing it in BFA, so many times you just would never get him. It would rain, you'd kill nonstop, and he just would not appear. And then the rain would stop and you'd be screwed, right? And so at least now I've seen him more times than not during the rain. I've been able to kill enough to spawn him. So they have at least increased it to the point where you at least see him spawn. But aside from that, yeah, I don't believe that item is 14% whatsoever. So anyway, that is where I'm sitting at. I'm so close to having the Mecha Done achievement finally done. Yeah, I just need that one item off the Oxidized Leech Beast, and then I need, you know, roughly another 40 completed projects done. That part's gonna be easy. I'm sure the Leech Beast will be the final one. And it works for now. I'm still farming Rust Feather and the Spider Boss, so I'm out there anyway, so it works. Okay, so now for what's going on with me this week. Game-wise, my plan is, well, Friday, we're gonna do a Lost Ark stream. Technically, you can have access on the 8th, and I was gonna, and then I just decided that, like, you know, money's tight right now, so I'm not gonna do the Founders Pack, so I'll just play it on Friday. But that's the plan. I'm really interested in seeing Lost Ark. Usually another MMO doesn't really like excite me, but there's some cool things you can do. I've been watching some videos lately on how the characters perform, and yeah, there is some sweet attacks coming from those characters. Yeah, they definitely have some good abilities, so I'm excited to play it. I want to try it out. Is it going to be something that's going to be our game? Of course not. It's always going to be WoW, guys. But I like to try out different games, and, you know, for those that have been, you know, watching the streams, I'm sure you've figured out by now that on Fridays, I just try to change it up every week. Every week, we're doing, like, a different game. You know, I just try to keep new stuff happening on Fridays. So yeah, that is the plan on Friday. And then, of course, in WoW this week, I'm going to be farming the Love Rocket all week. It'll be streamed, so you'll see all the attempts. Hopefully it will drop. I have been farming this sucker since it came out, and it's been a lot of years. And yeah, I do bring in like a fair amount of alts, but no, I'm not one of those people that fucking spend 8 hours a day farming the Love Rocket. No, thank you. But I do put probably, I'd say my farms are probably like 2 or 3 hours a day for the Love Rocket. So that is the plan for me this week. I also wouldn't mind sneaking some Infinite attempts in, so I'll probably do that after the Love Rocket attempts. So my week is just full of mount farming, honestly. It's just gonna be mount farming all the way. And yeah, so that is my week. I hope you enjoyed this week's WoW Weekly with Myst. I know there was a lot of news this week, so probably a little more of an extended video here, but I hope you enjoyed it. Anyways, let me know what your thoughts are on the boosting, the cross-faction, the new mobile game that we may or may not see in 2022, and anything else. As far as expansion, what this kind of told me is, like, it doesn't take a genius to know that we're not getting the expansion this year. Like, you know, we haven't even seen anything on release date for the patch, which is funny that they announced all these things and we're still back here waiting for a release date for the new patch, right? So I imagine that's around the corner, you know, like, yeah, I gotta imagine that it is. But one thing is for sure is that we are in Shadowlands for sure for the rest of this year. Yeah. I think the absolute earliest we would see, you know, an expansion would be like November. But I am hoping that we do get some news, you know, fairly soon for the new patch. And hopefully they're, you know, they got a good head start on the one after that so that they can at least get the rest of the patches in this year. So yeah. It would be nice if we're not waiting super long every single patch, because that's kind of how it's felt with Shadowlands. I feel like every time we finally get one, it's almost like a happy and a sad at the same time, because you're happy that you got it, but deep down you know that you're just gonna be stuck in this next one for like ever. Right? So yeah. But anyway, that calls it on this week's WoW Weekly. I hope you enjoyed. Have fun doing all your stuff. Good luck on your love rocket attempts if that's what you're doing. And Infinite if you are attempting that as well. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.